Hey, it's Coach LB, and I'm here in Las Vegas at the annual tactical training for the NSCA. And, today's video. And you might wonder, why is it important that I'm at this training and I'm doing a video? Well, subject matter is important. It's more about how to stay active when you are away from home or your home gym or whatever.
Squirrel!
One thing you can do is you can take walks. Walk around a hotel, walk around town. I'm in Las Vegas, so you could walk the strip. Or you could run. As long as you got a safe place, you can run. You could go to places like the pool. Go for a swim, just move around in the water. But one of the biggest things that's most important about it is actually being active. If you're at a conference like I am, it can be an extremely long day and tiresome. But activity doesn't have to be extremely strenuous. It's just being active, which is walking, is probably one of the best things you can do. But I'm also going to give you some other options. As you can see, I'm not still at my conference. But what we're doing is we're going over 12 different exercises with variations that you can accomplish while you're traveling or on vacation if you don't have access to a facility or you just don't want to go out and do things in public. So without further ado, on to our first exercise. Our first exercise is a jumping jack. Jumping jacks are a standard exercise for warm-up used by many practitioners, including the United States military. It's a full-body dynamic movement that increases blood flow and elevates heart rate. The issue becomes that the jumping involved in jumping jacks may be unneighborly to other patrons of the establishment you're staying at. There is another variation you can do with this. This modified version of a jumping jack allows you to increase blood flow and elevate your heart rate without the impact of jumping. This is a regression of jumping jacks. I've actually used this with my own clients who have had balance or coordination issues. It's just as effective as a normal jumping jack with a lower impact. Our next exercise is going to be arm circles. Arm circles are a great warm-up for shoulder mobility. You probably remember doing these in elementary school. The key to this exercise is to extend your arms like you're trying to touch the walls. For full mobility, start with very small circles, forward and back. Then make your circles bigger, almost like you're trying to swim through the water. Doing these forward and back can relieve tension in the chest, shoulders, and upper back. The next exercise we're going to look at is the reverse lunge. The reverse lunge is a great exercise to work on unilateral or single leg strength. You step backwards to lower yourself into a lunging position. The goal is to work towards getting yourself low enough in your lunge that your knee is just above the ground. Then you will use the force of your front leg to stand back up straight. If you were just a beginner, focus on stepping back and lowering yourself down. Go until you feel just a bit unstable and come back up. Over time, you will be able to lower yourself into a full lunge position and come back up under your own power. A way to modify the reverse lunge is to use a chair for balance. This is an assisted reverse lunge. It's the exact same except you use your chair for balance to help lower yourself down and come back up. The goal isn't to use the chair to push yourself back up, but just use it as an assistance for balance. Our next exercise we're looking at is the lateral lunge. The lateral lunge is a great hip opener exercise. To perform this, you will step out and lower yourself down with the leg you stepped out with. The leg you step out with is your stance leg. It's important to try and keep your other leg as straight as possible. No knee bends. Try to keep your nose, knees, and toes in line when you get down on your stance leg. Then you will push with your stance leg and pull with your other leg to return to a standing position. If you can't get down that far, that's okay. Just focus on your alignment and move as far as you can. This is another exercise where you can use a chair for assistance and balance. The key is to try to use the chair only for balance and not to use it to push yourself up. Next exercise we're going to look at is one of my favorites, squats. Squats are a key exercise used in everyday life. It is how you should be sitting into a chair during your day and reaching down to pick up or lift things. They can also be difficult to set up because the stance will vary from person to person. The basics are start with your feet shoulder width apart or slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Then you lower yourself down until your legs become parallel with the ground. We call that getting to 90 degrees. If you can't reach a full 90-degree position, go as low as you can before starting your ascent back to a standing position. For extra difficulty, you can pause at the bottom of your squat for 2 seconds before coming back up. If you're finding it difficult to get down, you can also turn your feet out no more than 45 degrees to help you find better positioning. Extending your hands out in front of you can help you to keep your balance as you're doing a squat. To do an assisted squat, place a chair in front or to the side of you. This way, when you get down to the bottom, it can help you maintain your balance. You should still not be using the chair as a way to push off and complete the squat. If you are using the chair for assistance, you may not reach full depth, but that's okay. Remember, this is about the movement. Next up is the sumo squat. You may think, hey, this is the same as a squat. The setup is slightly different. I wanted to put it as a different exercise, so therefore you can actually remember it as a distinctly different movement, even though they're similar. The sumo squat is the same mechanic as the traditional squat, but with a much wider base. When you set up sumo squat, you'll take your feet wider. It will be a bit like an exaggerated squat stance. Turn your feet out with 45 degrees. Then you lower yourself to the bottom position. You may find this easier or harder depending on which muscles are more developed in your legs. You can also perform this one with an assist. Place a chair in front of you and use it to maintain your balance at the bottom. The side isn't recommended because of how wide your feet are. Next exercise we're going to look at is a tricep dip. The tricep dip is an exercise that will work the back of your arms. You can do this one from the back or the front of a chair. I'm demonstrating with the back because it's easier to demonstrate. You are just lowering yourself down by bending your arms and straightening them to raise yourself back up. You can start by simply keeping your feet close to you. The further out they are, the more difficult this exercise becomes. When you feel comfortable, you can straighten your legs and point your toes to the ceiling. This will turn your feet into a pivot point and will be the highest difficulty you can perform at your body weight. Of course, if you're doing this on the front of the chair, it is going to be more difficult at that point than on the back of the chair because of the height. So push-ups are up next. And everybody hates push-ups because they're difficult. They are hard to do. The hardest part about the push-up is actually keeping your body rigid while you're doing a push-up. It's hard not to sag, but this should help you, give you some ideas of how you can perform this and not have to worry about this. This time we're starting from the easiest to the hardest. You can start with a wall push-up. The The hardest part of a wall push-up is finding the correct hand position. Get as close to the wall as possible and place your hands outside and in line with your chest. Then take a couple steps out and start your push-up. To increase the difficulty, lower yourself on the wall by stepping further back. Make sure to adjust your hands so they remain in line with your chest. To increase the difficulty for a push-up, you can move to the back of a chair. When you move to this one, your focus will also be on tightening up your core to keep your body stiff while performing this exercise. Once we move to the floor, we have variations from easiest to hardest. Knee push-ups, you can do them with your feet still touching the ground for stability, or with your feet off the ground, turning your knees into a pivot point. Then the normal push-up. We all know this one. Next up is the bird dog. This is a great exercise for working on your core stability, strength, and your balance. This hits 3 major issues and it can help with lower back pain. We're going to start this exercise in a tabletop position, meaning you'll be on your hands and your legs and your back will be similar to that of a table. To start our repetitions, we will use a single appendage to make sure that we have good posture. Start with your arms, bringing them up in line with your body. You can do this with your legs as well. The next stage is to alternate between opposite arms and legs, bringing them up in line with your body. Try not to shift your hips while your arms or legs are moving. To make this harder, we're going to move the opposite arm and leg at the same time while maintaining our balance. Just extend them out and bring your arm and leg back to the same position you started at. The most difficult way to perform this is to extend the arm and leg at the same time and then bring them together without touching the ground. Then you'll perform the next repetition immediately without touching the ground. This can become more difficult if your base is not stable or you relax your core. The key to doing this movement is keeping a strong, stable core while breathing through the motion. Our next exercise is the shoulder taps. This is another exercise where it's crucial to have a strong core, so doing this will help build up core strength. You can start on your hands or knees in a tabletop position. You're going to reach up with a hand and touch the opposite shoulder. The difficult part of this is that you should not shift your weight from side to side while doing this. This is accomplished by having a strong base and keeping your core tight as you're doing this. As you become more confident, you can move your feet back to create a larger base. The hardest way to perform this exercise is to do it from a plank position. The last exercise we're going to cover today is the elbow to instep with a twist. Now, some of you who are familiar with CrossFit might know this. I use this in warm-ups. This is a difficult exercise, but there's ways to start off and make it a lot easier for yourself. You can start off by working yourself into a forward lunge. To begin with, you can have your knee touching the ground. The goal is to bring your body into a position that allows you to have both hands on the ground and bring the arm closest to the forward leg up to twist your body open. As you become stronger, you can take an exaggerated step into the lunge and lower yourself straight down. This is also followed by the ability to actually be able to reach. As you become stronger, you can take an exaggerated step into the lunge and lower yourself straight down. When you become more accustomed to this, you can actually have the ability to be able to reach your elbow to the instep of your foot as you're reaching down. Then push yourself up with your. As you become stronger, you can take an exaggerated step into the lunge and lower yourself straight down, opening yourself up with a twist and pushing yourself back up with your own power. When you get really comfortable or you need to make it more difficult, reach your elbow all the way to the instep of your foot as you're reaching down. Then you'll twist open and then push yourself up with your own power all the way to a standing position. So that's it, my 12 exercises that you can do in your hotel room. And this is just 12 exercises I thought of while I was actually at my conference. Big shout out to my mom who actually requested this video. She's traveling right now, so I need to get it out to make sure that she can see it while she's gone. But I know that a lot of people are probably wondering what they can do, and this is something simple. It doesn't have to be massive amounts of work. All it is just 5 repetitions of a couple of them. The actual goal of doing things like this while you're on vacation or even at a conference is just to get your body moving. If you're sitting in a conference and listening to lectures and speakers all day, you're sitting. Movement is going to be key. It's going to help you feel better, and if you do it at night, it may actually help you sleep better. I know sometimes when you're traveling, it can be difficult to figure out anything to do. So you could just take a couple of these exercises and try them out on your own. Find what you like. You don't have to do all of them. Just do maybe 5 or 10 repetitions of each of these, or just a few of them. The more you move, the better it's gonna be. All right, thanks a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you're enjoying it. I'll be back with more content soon.